today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. It's Monday. That means it is John Brummett. And it's a special Monday because it's your birthday, isn't it?
Well, how did
Happy
you know
birthday.
that? You saw that on social media. Well, that's
Maybe.
so thoughtful.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
We got you a gift,
Really?
As a matter of fact. Can we have the gift there? Oh, my goodness, look at this. How old are you?
Well, I'm a year away from Medicare.
We got you a Mr. Steamy. How about that? It's actually not what it sounds like it is.
I don't want to.
You might want to use that in your laundry. I don't think you're going to want to use that in other parts of your life.
Well, I don't want to hear anything about that. But I knew that working with you would pay off at some point.
We'll get this off of the
set.
Thank you so much. We'll be waiting for you when
very
we're
thoughtful.
done.
Very thoughtful.
It could be
don't let me leave without that.
Could be a new nickname for you too, Mr. Steamy.
You know, I'll take it. I think it's appropriate.
You've got a birthday. There's just one day off from Governor Asa Hutchinson too. Did y'all not do a joint birthday?
Was his yesterday?
His was yesterday. Yeah.
He's a day older than I am.
That's right.
At least.
Well,
yeah.
Are y'all the same year?
No. He's a little bit more mature, don't you think?
Well, we're not going to sing for you. So.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah. You don't want us singing.
Thanks very much.
But anyhow, I am proud you made it another year.
I hope to make it a few more.
Many more.
Good.
Let's begin with Beyond Birthday Madness. Let's talk sports madness over the weekend.
Sure.
It has erupted again. College football, the University of Arkansas was going to get Gus Malzahn, and there was all this stuff predicted right here. It has led to people complaining about how much money is spent in college athletics, which is an age-old complaint. Mm-hmm. Is anything going to be different going forward at this point in time, or do you think it's the same old conversation?
No, nothing's going to be different. This has been a fascinating thing. I put on social media a complaint about a poor state like Arkansas getting ready to, if the offer they had made to Malzahn would mean that we would be paying the third or fourth highest coach's salary in the country. And I cited the irony and the misplaced priority of that. And I got a ton of response from people saying, one, it's not your money, it's boosters' money, it's not taxpayer money. What is it to you? You know, if boosters want, if this is what they consider important, then just shut up and watch the game, basically. The other was an objection to my calling Arkansas a poor state, and which of course it is, second or third poorest by most measures in the country, and this. I did a little investigating of who was complaining or disagreeing with me on that, and it's largely folks in Northwest Arkansas who think of Northwest Arkansas as its own place, and it is, of course, among the richer places in the country. Sure. And it was educational to me that there is a donor class that is entirely different from the rest of the state and the rest of us. And the competition is between donor classes, and the University of Arkansas, or of Northwest Arkansas, is highly competitive in terms of resources in the donor class. The big guy, what we ought to do to settle all these coaching things after a season ends is have this guy, Jimmy Sexton, just place his coaches where he wants and take whatever money he would like. Because he's
a pretty good negotiator,
He is the agent for Malzahn. He obviously played Arkansas beautifully and Auburn beautifully. Now we're turning our attention to the Memphis coach, a young man, Mike Norvell, who's had an Norvell, who's had an excellent season and might be a fine coach for the future. You know who his agent is?
Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah, it's actually by some ethical standards, this would all be a conflict of interest.
He's the Herschel Friday of modern day. If this was a legislature, he'd have those votes in his pockets.
Apparently he does.
Yeah.
Apparently he does. It's he's just playing solitaire with our coaches. But as long as there's this much TV money involved in it, and as long as people, and I'm chief among them, look forward to game day on ESPN and college football, and as long as the South is going to try to refight the war of northern aggression by having good football teams, then this is what we're going to have. And I have learned from my social media friends, quit complaining about it. It's TV. It's got so little to do with higher education. That's even laughable.
Several columns coming in the works here.
I've got a couple percolating. Yeah. I do.
All right, so here was an idea that I had to throw out here. Let's take the head football coach position. Let's assume Tom Cotton goes to the CIA in a Trump appointment, and let's roll the U.S. Senate race special election into both athletic director and head football coach, all three in one, and let everybody vote on them next year. What do you think about that idea?
I think you need You need to calm your imagination. You need to come up with some more
then
direct
let's
questions.
talk some more about Cotton possibly going to the CIA. It was
I
just,
think
just
you're
throwing it out
I
there.
think you're working on segues for the interview, and that's good. This one might not have been your best one because you've had some excellent ones. But we can vote on this if they want.
So we could, why not? And if you really look at it, out of those 3 positions, the U.S. Senator is the least paid position. So, it's really the afterthought.
I proposed on Twitter, where I do some of my best work, as you know. I proposed yesterday that for about $110,000 or $120,000, they could get the Pulaski Academy coach.
Yeah, Coach Kelly.
Coach Kelly, who just won his 4th straight state title, and they could, and they would never have to recruit a punter or kickoff man again.
Save them some more scholarship positions.
Anyway, Cotton, you want to talk about Cotton?
Let's
and the
talk
CIA.
about what that could be. That rumor actually heated up last week
Right.
with Maggie Haberman, the
Right.
Trump whisperer, I guess.
She's connected. Of the New York Times.
When she reports on it, there tends to be a little
Right.
bit of truth to
Right.
it there. What would this do, in your estimation, to 2018's election cycle? How much more fun would it make it for you to cover?
Oh, it would make me young again, even as I'm a year older. It would take a year that may not be much, other than seeing if the red tide continues or whether the Democrats can kind of rebound a little in niches. This would, well, first of all, it would be great fun to see whom Asa would appoint, if, say, Cotton gets the CIA appointment in January, whom Asa would appoint as the placeholder for a year. And who might get that, and to see the competition. Well, you want to see backroom competition. You ought to be probably in the governor's office when people are coming to ASA saying, I think my career needs to be capped off by my service in the United States
I would be doing
Senate.
you a service.
Right. And then we would have a special election to complete the term, which would then be up in 2020. So we got bang, bang, bang. And what I had a leading Republican tell me the other day, I was asking him about Steve Womack, whether he would run, or French Hill, or others. He said, John, it may be 11 or 12, 4 or 5 serious, and then a bunch of these others.
It'd be like 2010.
Yeah, that's
that's
the comparison that he made. It would be, and then the Democrats, what are they going to do? We had a little flurry of activity last week. Somebody said to me, the Democrats could compete. BB could still compete. And so I called BB. He was on the golf course, of course.
Of course.
And he said, man, I can't. He said, what in the world has happened? I can't complete a golf hole for people calling and asking me, I want to run for the Senate. I had to explain, and he said he really wasn't up on the Cotton and Trump and the CIA and that sort of thing. He's not going to do it.
No, I wouldn't think that
no,
he would.
He's not going to pull a Brett Favre. But it'd be fascinating. Steve Womack would be an obvious choice from Congress to run for the Senate in the special election, except he's on a leadership track in the House, and they might not. French Hill, 2nd District Congressman, would be a safer bet year to election to election as a senator than having to fight the Pulaski County Democratic strength. And then Tim Griffin, not one to pass up an opportunity, or at least would like to be mentioned about it.
There's a deep bench on the Republican side.
No kidding. They've got a deep bench is what you have when you hold every office in sight.
That's right.
So it would be great fun. It would keep us in something to talk about.
You left Bart Hester's name out of that. His name's been floated out there.
Do you know?
Too, so.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I tend to forget about him. I spent the day the news broke about Cotton, I spent the day on the phone with Republicans, and what I told about on the 6th call, I said to somebody, what I've learned today is to take Bart Hester seriously, because I think of him as a young, inconsequential state senator who was a baseball player for the Razorbacks. That's how I think. He is the Koch brothers' favorite. He's a friend of Tom Cotton. He is ambitious. He would have great resources if he ran. They say he makes a good presentation. So he's in the mix too.
He was active in the Rubio campaign in this last election cycle too. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and talk some national politics. There's still a lot more to get on in terms of Congress and the president. We're with John Brummett. It's his birthday, and we are back right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, Electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
Welcome back to the program. I'm joined by John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. All right, let's turn our attention to some other things happening at the national level. We have got the president endorsing Roy Moore now through Twitter. He's blocking Mitt Romney on his trip to Utah today, who Mitt wants to run for the U.S. Senate. We have everything that unfolded on Friday with the Flynn indictment and acceptance of that potential charge there. Do you see a boiling point starting to brew here where Republicans and Democrats are not going to be able to communicate pleasantly anymore?
Are they now?
Well, they're not, but I'm asking you, can it get worse?
Yes, yes. I guess that it can, but not on that basis. I just think the natural progression of sentiment has been in that direction. I'm not sure what Trump's relationship with Mitt Romney has to do with whether Republicans and Democrats can get along.
Well, you got Republicans and Republicans not getting along too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the bigger story. Lindsey Graham was saying we got to somehow pass this tax cut bill to save the Republican Party because we're holding together 3 Republican parties by a Band-Aid. I think that's actually true.
What are the 3?
I don't know.
Oh.
You've got
I know what 2 of them are.
You've got the evangelicals, you've got the business conservatives, then you've got the fusion defense conservatives. They're 3.
Okay.
And then you've got establishment, and then you got Trump, and then you got Tea Party. They overlap, but there are 6 things that that are in the pot. I think Roy Moore is going to get elected to the Senate. I never really thought that he wasn't, and he is. If the few speeches you see him making from the stump in Alabama anymore, he's as disparaging or as ridiculing of Republicans as he is of the Democrats. Why? Well, Mitch McConnell and the Republican leadership wanted him to drop out of the race, so they don't support him. So it's our politics. Are there stages, are there levels of dysfunction? I guess there are. I mean, dysfunction is dysfunction, but I think we are at threat of an era of dysfunction plus.
Well, the timing on that could be a huge factor in that we just have seen this tax bill pass the U.S. Senate. It's got to go to a conference committee for a reconciliation now, and you've got a looming deadline to pass a budget now that is going to require some Democratic votes in the Senate side.
You got to get to 60 on the Senate side to avoid a government shutdown.
I'm predicting
a shutdown.
I predicted it will happen. So,
well, we've had it before.
Yeah.
And we always come out of it, and somebody's a political loser and somebody's a political winner. Probably the Republicans this time. But we got to get this budget bill passed because they passed the tax cut bill by buying Republican votes by promising to do things in that, like DACA for Jeff Flake, and then Susan Collins extracted a public commitment in caucus from Trump that the Alexander Murray bill to restore the cost-sharing subsidies to Obamacare in exchange for doing away with the individual mandate, that was going to be done. So they've got obligations, not bipartisanly. The Republicans got to tend to their own obligations to each other to see if this gets done.
And I think it's kind of coming down to this argument here. I think Republicans passing that tax bill in particular, there was this effort to do it to show we can govern, we can pass legislation. But there could also be the drawback of we can pass legislation, therefore we can govern. Look at what we passed and the potential harm to middle-class voters, or if some of the things that they're predicating the success of big corporate income tax cuts doesn't come to fruition, you got some potential fallout here.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And I think what they passed early Saturday morning is at present a clear political loser. I mean, I think, and you may know more about how this happens than I can figure out, because I'm not up there doing on-site reporting. But 2 conservative Republican senators thought that small businesses ought to get a break like corporations do, and therefore let's find a new way to tax pass-through income. In the course of doing that, by these little amendments they're writing in the margin late Friday night, they have given a tax break to hedge fund billionaires who have a lot of pass-through income. Trump, apparently, many of his businesses are pass-through income. But at the same time, they exempted professional services people like lawyers and accountants from this from this reduction of 39 to 26 in tax and pass-through income, their top rate. A guy out here got a landscape lighting business, grossing $90,000 a year. He's not going to get to 39% anyway. He gets nothing out of that. Hedge fund billionaires get millions upon millions. Well, how do they come to do that? Do they set out to do that, Republicans, I mean, or do they just fall into it?
I would contend that the consequences of, first of all, whatever comes out of conference is going to be the bill that gets voted on. And so there's a lot of license for this thing to change over the course of the next couple of weeks. But I think until the rubber hits the road, until when people start filing their taxes and seeing how it impacts them, they're not going to vote till they see that they've either been helped or hurt on this thing. So
therefore, we just defer any political judgment, not till the next tax year, but the one after.
Yeah.
How
about that?
But you didn't. I'm trying to interview you. I want to understand, how do they come? Do they set out to give that tax break to those hedge fund billionaires, or along the way do they try to do it for small business, and it turns out pass-through income also affects all these rich people, and it gets too complicated on Friday night before the vote to try to.
Well, I think there are some unintended consequences.
I think
number one, and I think number two, there are some people sliding some things in. You've seen it at the state legislature before. It can happen.
I believe your answer was yes and no.
Yeah.
Very good answer, and no doubt true.
John Brummett, he is a year older, and he's a year older with us. Thank you as always.
One more year on Obamacare.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
That's all for today's program. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.